The cameras were rolling, the audience held their breath, and what started as a royal tribute to Princess Diana quickly turned into a moment no one could have predicted. In a stunning live broadcast, Princess Anne calmly but directly confronted Meghan Markle with a comment that froze the room and shattered Meghan's composure. Her eyes welled with tears, her voice trembled, and for the first time on live TV, we saw the Duchess of Sussex completely unguarded. Was it a moment of necessary honesty or a public misstep from a royal icon? Either way, it changed everything in seconds. Cold open, tension in the air. The studio lights were soft, but the atmosphere crackled with unease. On the surface, this was meant to be a serene tribute to Princess Diana, a night filled with compassion, legacy, and reflection. Yet the energy in the room told a different story. Cameras rolled as the event opened with a brief clip of Princess Anne from a previous royal documentary. Her tone was serious, her words measured, but they struck with force. Legacy must be protected, not performed. Then the camera cut to Meghan Markle. Sitting on the stage, her body language was composed, but her eyes told another story. Uncertainty, perhaps even dread. As Anne's voice echoed through the venue, Meghan's lips parted slightly. A moment of hesitation. Her hand brushed her knee, an unconscious sign of tension. A quick zoom captured the intensity. Gasps rippled through the audience, just subtle enough to notice, but heavy with meaning. The host, sensing the sudden energy shift, paused longer than expected before the next introduction. This wasn't just a royal gathering, it was becoming a moment. And as Princess Anne stepped onto the stage, all eyes locked in. The voiceover returned, solemn and sharp. What did Anne say that hit Meghan so hard? Let's rewind. The emotional stakes had been set. Meghan's voice on record. Before the confrontation, Meghan Markle had built her own narrative, one filled with heartache, strength, and a mission. Her past interviews, especially the explosive Oprah sit-down in 2021 and her later podcast series Archetypes, had painted a portrait of a woman navigating not only royal pressure, but intense public misunderstanding. She talked about identity, about being silenced, about trying to build something real in a world that felt curated and scripted. Her words stuck with people. "I just wanted to be heard," she had said once, and the world had listened. Clips flashed across the screen. Meghan tearfully speaking about mental health, misinformation, her struggles with the press. She wasn't just a duchess. She had become a voice for resilience, especially for women who felt erased. "I'm not here to be silent anymore," she said in one episode. Her work with charities, especially those focused on equity, parenting, and empowerment, reinforced her desire to use her platform for more than appearances. So, walking into this tribute for Diana, Meghan expected to participate as an advocate, not a target. But her past and her power had already shifted the tone in the palace. Some saw her as inspirational, others disruptive. And sitting in that chair under the spotlight, she had no idea her very narrative was about to be tested live, and by someone who had lived royal duty far longer than she had. Anne's royal legacy princess. Anne has always stood apart in the royal family, not because she demands attention, but because she doesn't. While others made headlines, Anne made history quietly. Her reputation is built on one word: duty. Since she was a child, Anne has been immersed in charity work, riding horses, shaking hands, and opening hospitals across the globe without so much as a headline. She never courted press. She didn't need to, and that made her the monarchy's moral compass. Back in 1997, just days after Diana's tragic death, Anne shocked the media when she condemned the paparazzi. "We've lost someone to cameras," she said. Cool, but piercing. It was a rare public comment, and it echoed louder because it came from Anne. In the years that followed, she remained constant, always working, rarely complaining, and never chasing the spotlight. So when she took the stage during the tribute to Diana, the room didn't just listen. They leaned in. They knew if Anne was going to speak, it was for a reason. Her role tonight wasn't just ceremonial, it was symbolic. She was Diana's peer, a fellow royal woman who had also faced scrutiny, but handled it the old-fashioned way, with restraint and resolve. That's what made her next words so jarring, because they didn't come from emotion, they came from experience. Event setup, a gathering for Diana. The BBC event had all the makings of a royal masterpiece. Titled Light for Diana, it was promoted as a global tribute to her charitable legacy, an emotional evening set to be filled with speeches, music, and heartfelt remembrances. The guest list was flawless: royals, dignitaries, ambassadors of Diana's favorite charities, and, of course, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. For many, it was a hopeful sign. Perhaps this would be the moment the family would unite. Cameras positioned perfectly, floral arrangements bathed in soft gold light. It all seemed carefully arranged for peace and nostalgia. Meghan had been invited as a key guest, even rumored to close the event with a personal anecdote about Diana. Some palace insiders were reportedly hesitant, unsure of how the crowd would respond. But publicly, it was framed as a gesture of unity. Letting Meghan speak alongside Anne and others seemed like a way to signal healing. The stage was elegant, and the room carried an energy that was both reverent and curious. Would this be the night of resolution? Would Meghan and the older royals finally share space with mutual respect? The world watched with cautious optimism. And then came Princess Anne, scheduled not as a final speaker, but as the pivot point. That positioning alone meant something. Her words would set the tone. No one expected what she was about to say. Not even Meghan. The live confrontation arrives. The atmosphere shifted. The second Princess Anne took the podium. She began calmly, with a warm and respectful tribute to Diana. "She lit hearts," Anne said, "and she lit the way for those who came after." But then her tone changed. She turned slightly, looked toward Meghan, and spoke a sentence that would instantly trend online. "Your narrative has shifted, from charity to center stage drama." The room froze. The cameras captured Meghan's stunned expression. Her eyes widened slightly. She wasn't expecting it. Not here. Not live. Anne didn't raise her voice, but her words landed with precision. There was no anger, just quiet accountability. Audience members stopped mid-sip of wine. Some whispered. Others simply stared. The camera did a slow zoom on Meghan, who blinked quickly, clearly trying to maintain composure. She didn't respond. She didn't need to. Her silence said everything. And in that moment, what was meant to be a tribute became a confrontation. Unplanned or not, Princess Anne had just challenged Meghan Markle on live TV, and the world was watching. Meghan's moment, tears, and inner battle. As the room held its breath after Princess Anne's pointed remark, all eyes shifted to Meghan Markle. The silence became suffocating. On live television, Meghan caught the glare of the bright lights and the thrust of expectations. She went still, and in that instant, her composure cracked. Her breathing paused, a single tear formed at the corner of her eye, and the moment felt both intimate and public. For a few seconds, the world watched her as if holding its breath. Megan's face showed vulnerability, surprise, but also a trace of defiance. This wasn't an outburst. It was the quiet strength of someone holding back raw emotion. Her hands trembled just slightly. She absently tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Maybe she was recalling her own past, instances where she'd fought to be heard in front of millions. Inner voices played out behind her eyes. Hold it together, stay strong. Her silence spoke louder than any rebuttal could. There were no dramatic gestures, no broken plates, just the bare truth of a woman caught off guard at a moment she hoped would be healing, not wounding. When the audience stirred, Megan took a steadying breath. You could almost feel the resilience flicker back on. She managed a small, solemn nod. Her composure returned slowly, but her expression remained guarded. It was a face shaped by past hurt and public pressure, turning a confrontation into an act of courage. That moment showed more than pain. It revealed character. Megan didn't crumble. Instead, she held firm beneath the spotlight. The world saw someone tested, and someone choosing dignity in raw visibility. In seconds, her silence had made the loudest statement, that this wasn't about drama. It was about heart. Princess Anne's intent. What drove Princess Anne to speak so pointedly in that moment? Her delivery was calm, precise, almost surgical in its effect. Anne didn't shout, but her message resonated as though she had. Evaluators say she designed that line to strike a chord, not to tear down Meghan, but to urge her back to purpose. Charity above persona, legacy above theatrics. Experts suggest Anne's words came from decades of royal discipline and self-respect. She's never liked distractions or perceived missteps that eclipse duty. Anne's moral compass is strong, said one royal commentator, and tonight she subtly signaled, remember why. You're here. Behind the scenes, this was seen as a gentle yet firm wake-up share. Anne didn't attack Meghan's character. She reminded her of her role, a platform for causes, not controversy. It felt like accountability from one royal woman to another. You belong, but remember the responsibility. In that split second, Anne became more than a speaker. She became a messenger for tradition, reminding the audience this moment was supposed to honor Diana's legacy, not spark new dramas. She was being protective of the night's purpose, and even though her words hit hard, her aim wasn't cruelty, it was correction. Immediate aftermath. When the confrontation ended, the studio shifted again. Meghan quietly got up and exited the stage, supported by Prince Harry and a few aides. Their exit was calm but quick. No dramatics, just purpose and care. You could sense Harry's presence as a steady anchor behind her. Moments later, backstage murmurs filled in. A short joint statement was released. We are grateful for the tribute to Diana's charity work and stand firm in our commitment. It was precise, dignified, and avoided escalation. Meghan refrained from showing pain publicly, but the statement suggested resilience. Social media shifted too. Hashtags like #GraceUnderFire began trending, praising Meghan's composure and quiet resolve. Yet contradictions appeared. Some criticized Anne for public pressure. Others applauded her honesty. Middle-aged audiences praised Meghan's resilience. Younger viewers debated whether Anne's truth was timely or tactical. Talk shows buzzed. Commentators dissected tone, context, motives. Some felt Anne overstepped, questioning whether public correction has a place under studio lights. Others defended her as a guardian of legacy, saying lunacy masqueraded as accountability would degrade the monarchy's meaning. In royal circles, the moment produced ripples. Insiders reported swift conversations, some calling for damage control, others lauding Anne's intervention as tactful. The general feeling seemed to be this: the moment was a controlled crisis, manageable but revealing. The night's narrative didn't collapse. It evolved. Media and social media storm. Within hours, public discourse exploded. #Grace Under Fire dominated Twitter. Influencers praised Meghan's innate resilience. Headlines such as "Anne's question stuns Meghan" flooded news outlets. Tabloids splashed Anne's words in bold, framing Meghan's hush as either shock or strength. Across Facebook and Instagram, comment threads lit up. Some fans called Anne's interjection crossing a line. Others defended it, saying accountability is critical, even under spotlights. A widely shared meme juxtaposed Meghan's composed tear with Anne's steely expression, captioned, "When gift and guard collide." Media analysis spoke in measured tones. The episode signaled a shift in royal spotlight balance between tradition and newer forms of narrative control. They pointed out how Meghan's silence had paradoxically amplified her presence. Less show, more impact. In royal watch communities, some remarked on an emerging rift. Could this spark fresh tensions between Anne and Meghan, or was it a constructive confrontation meant to anchor the evening's message? The near-unanimous takeaway: no part of the event would remain untouched by that live moment. Royal pulse check. Behind palace doors, whispers became careful strategies. Aides convened to evaluate whether Anne's words had overstepped, a rare whisper of concern about internal hierarchy. Conversations between senior staff revolved around reputation management. Balance between critique and unity is delicate, one insider said. Reports suggested Charles and Camilla privately expressed empathy for both women, comforting Anne for being bold, while advising Meghan to regroup. The palace's communications team quietly offered guidance on tone and next steps. No escalation, no blowback. Even within a monarchy rooted in tradition, this was uncharted territory, public moral accountability in real time. Yet some younger aides viewed the spectacle as a deeper sign that the royal family was evolving. No longer untouchable symbols, but emotionally aware individuals navigating deep challenges. It hinted that monarchy can hold space for growth, conflict, compassion. Still, internal cautions remained loud. The palace whispered of strength under scrutiny, the delicate dance of open emotion without losing stability. Meghan's resilience softened speculation. Anne's integrity reinforced authority. And the monarchy? It quietly held on to hope that both concern and empathy could coexist under one roof, even on live TV. Meghan's response in the public sphere. Despite the deeply emotional moment that had unfolded on live television, Meghan Markle didn't retreat into silence for long. Just hours after the event, she addressed the situation, but not in a defensive or combative way. Her response was calm, thoughtful, and emotionally grounded. It wasn't about denial. It was about reflection. In a carefully crafted statement posted across her foundation's social media channels, Meghan wrote, "I am always open to conversations that help us grow. I believe in learning from every experience, especially when they come from a place of care." It was a subtle but clear acknowledgement of Princess Anne's words without reigniting tension. She went further, highlighting her commitment to humanitarian work, women's rights, and media literacy. Her tone was not just gracious, it was purposeful. It recentered the conversation on the very cause the tribute was meant to elevate: Diana's legacy. In the days that followed, Meghan recorded a short video for her next charity initiative. In it, she spoke softly about the importance of staying grounded in your truth, even when voices around you question it. Viewers noticed the calm in her demeanor. The video felt authentic, even healing. It wasn't performative. It was personal. She also revisited her podcast, Archetypes, where she shared a new anecdote. That moment taught me that even when we stand on different sides of tradition, the shared purpose can still bind us. The quote was later picked up by media outlets and widely praised as a message of reconciliation. Gradually, the narrative began to shift. While initial headlines had focused on confrontation, newer coverage started to highlight Meghan's grace under pressure. Public opinion saw an uptick in favorability. She didn't argue. She adapted. This wasn't just damage control, it was a strategic reclaiming of narrative. Meghan showed the world that emotional moments don't have to lead to breakdowns. They can lead to breakthroughs. And through it all, she managed to maintain dignity while still standing her ground. Aftershock in royal dynamics. Inside the palace, the aftershocks of that live confrontation echoed for days. The tension between Meghan and Princess Anne had not erupted into a feud, but it had clearly shifted the family dynamic. Behind the scenes, conversations grew more cautious. Interactions, though still civil, were described as icy at best. Reports emerged that Queen Camilla and King Charles were sympathetic toward both sides, acknowledging Anne's intent, but also recognizing the sensitivity of the moment. Sources said they didn't want this to divide the family further, but they couldn't ignore how it unfolded. Even Prince William reportedly stayed distant, not out of resentment, but as a way to avoid choosing sides. His focus remained on preserving unity, but insiders described a sense of emotional distance between the Sussexes and the rest of the royals in the days that followed. Meanwhile, Princess Anne remained silent publicly. She didn't release any statement, nor did she appear rattled. But according to palace aides, her confidence in her role had shifted slightly. She believed she had done the right thing, but she now realized the world was more complex than simple duty versus drama lines. For Harry and Meghan, the invitation to upcoming royal functions became tentative. Their attendance at future events was no longer guaranteed. It would now be evaluated based on context and public mood. And within the palace walls, some speculated that this moment marked a quiet reset in how the Sussexes would be integrated moving forward. Cold dinners resumed. There were no outbursts, no loud arguments, but the warmth had clearly cooled. The emotional ripple effect of Anne's statement and Meghan's poised response had permanently altered the flow of family relations. Each member began to recalibrate how they spoke, appeared, and interacted with the public. The royal family has always walked a line between formality and personal truth. But after this, they weren't just walking it. They were being forced to reckon with it. Tease and viewer. Takeaway. And now we're left with a question that stretches far beyond one confrontation or a single moment on stage. This wasn't just a headline-grabbing exchange between Meghan Markle and Princess Anne. It was a collision of old-world duty and new-world vulnerability. A generational standoff wrapped in layers of pain, pride, and purpose. Did Princess Anne go too far? Or did she say what others wouldn't dare to? Was it a brutal moment of truth that had to be voiced? Or did it pierce through dignity and compassion at a time when healing was most needed? For Meghan Markle, this was more than a surprise. It was an emotional crossroads, a chance to either retreat into silence or rise above the noise. and she chose the latter. Her silence in the moment and her calm, composed response afterward painted a picture of grace under fire, a woman balancing public expectation with personal truth. For Princess Anne, this may have been a quiet turning point in her legacy. Known for her stoic presence and lifelong devotion to duty, Anne has always been the monarchy's steady hand. But with this confrontation, she revealed something more: her belief in truth-telling as a royal responsibility. It was a rare show of directness from someone who usually lets actions speak louder than words. Behind them, the monarchy now stands at a new edge. Truth, legacy, and emotion are no longer whispered topics in royal corridors. They are front and center, televised and shared, dissected and debated. This moment didn't just reveal a crack in the royal image. It showed us a glimpse of its human core. So what now? Could this emotionally raw exchange spark a shift in how the royals engage with the public and each other? Will it open a long-overdue path to honesty and connection, or has it created a fracture that won't easily be repaired? As we leave you with the image of Meghan, composed but changed, and Anne, stoic yet perhaps more reflective than ever before, we ask you, was Princess Anne brave to speak her truth, or did she forget the price of royal restraint? Did Meghan stand tall in that moment, or was she unfairly targeted under the world's gaze? This wasn't just television. It was a moment of reckoning, and it belongs to all of us now. Tell us what you think in the comments below, because sometimes the most powerful moments in royal history aren't the grand ceremonies or rehearsed speeches. They're the ones that force us to feel, reflect, and choose a side.